Part 3, this is the final test of the first quarter, and this is the kind of the checklist. There are 11 bulleted points here that we want to kind of go through, but first we absolutely need to be able to find the distance between points. Okay, that's the first one, and we know the distance between points. We can use the Pythagorean theorem. So I would give you a point here and a point here, and we want to find the distance. And so we just have to figure out how far over and how far up. Those two distances are the legs, A and B, and we can use it to find the hypotenuse C by using the Pythagorean theorem. We do need to simplify our radicals, and that's what this little process here is showing you. I'm taking the square root of 75, and I rewrite it as 25 times 3. I take the square root of 25, which is 5, and the radical 3 just has to chill, because it's an irrational number that cannot be simplified. So our answer is right here. So similar to distance, if I give you 2 points, I want to be able to find the midpoint. The midpoint literally is the middle. And when I say the middle, I mean exactly in the middle. You can use a graph to help you find the middle. You can use the middle just using your kind of your number sense. Like, you know the middle number of like 0 and 10 is 5. You know the middle number between 50 and 100 is 75, things like that. But you can also find the average number, right? The middle is also the average, and finding the average of two numbers, well, you can just add them up and divide by 2. We need to know the vocab word of between. This line segment right here would say that B is between A and C. Now, it may be exactly in the middle, but that's not what between means. Between just means somewhere on the line. It actually means that A, B, and C are collinear. And for what we really do with it, we typically use the segment addition postulate, which just says I can take the first part plus the second part, and it equals the total. So AB plus BC equals AC. Now, if I told you that B was the midpoint, then you would know the first part equals the second part, which is also saying you could take 2 times the first part equals the total, AC being the total. So you can set up either one of those. So definitely there's a difference between and midpoint. Okay, the first 5 really involve distances and segments and more graphs. Now the rest of it is mostly about angles. So our first set of angles, our angle pairs, are vertical angles. This guy here and this guy here are vertical. Vertical angles are congruent, which means their measures are equal. So if I give you something like this and I give you something like this, set them equal to each other. We know vertical angles are congruent. Our second set was what we called a linear pair. If you look at this angle and this angle, they form a line. We know that 2 angles that form a line have a sum of 180. So what you can do is you can add them up and set them equal to 180. Again, you're going to see vertical angles and linear pairs for sure on the test. An angle bisector. Well, an angle bisector, the word bisector, right? Anytime we say bisector, we mean cut in half perfectly. So if I say you have this angle and you have a bisector, which is the dotted line, that tells you that angle 1 and angle 2 are congruent. It also tells you that if you double angle 1, it's equal to the total, because you know that splits it in half. Similar to the segment addition postulate, where it says first part, second part total, well, the angle addition postulate says the same thing. If you have this first angle 3 and you have the second angle 4, if you take angle 3 plus angle 4, you get the total angle. Now this would be more using letters. Angle ABC, which is angle 3, plus angle CBD, which is angle 4, and that equals the total angle, which is ABD. We have to also remind ourselves of the triangle sum theorem, and that just says that any triangle, every single triangle, acute triangle, right triangle, obtuse triangle, doesn't matter. If you take the 3 interior angles and you add them up, we know that equals 180 degrees. And again, that's true for all triangles. And then lastly, when we have a transversal and parallel lines, this line here, that guy, that's the transversal, and then those are your parallel lines. These symbols mean parallel. And then what we're going to do is we got to know all these 6 words. So for example, angle 1 and 4 are vertical. Angle 1 and 3, well, they form a line, so they're a linear pair. Vertical angles are congruent. Linear pairs are 180. And now we can start working with the 2 parallel lines, so we can compare the top 4 and the bottom 4. For instance, Angle 1 and angle 5, they're corresponding. They're both on the top left. Angle 1 and angle 8, angle 1 and angle 8, they're alternate exterior. They're also congruent. Angle 2 and angle 6 are alternate interior, and they're inside the parallel lines, and they're also congruent. And then angle 4 and angle 6, well, those are consecutive interior or same side interior, and they're 180. And so you look at these 6 words, some of them are equal and some of them are supplements, meaning they equal 180. And you have to know which they are based on where they are in this grouping. Okay? But all 11 of these topics are for sure on the test, and they are worth studying.